Right, taking a look at the U.S. hand here. Theoretically, we don't know what the USSR has, so we'll turn that over. We always know they have the China card. Start with the China card. Indo-Pakistani War works like Korean War. India or Pakistan invades the other. Korean War is North Korea invades South Korea specifically. Indo-Pakistani War, India or Pakistan invades the other. Player choice. Roll 1 die, subtract 1 for every opponent-controlled country adjacent to the target of the invasion. Player victory on 4 to 6. Player adds 2 to the ops track. Victory, player gains 2 points and replaces all opponent influence with theirs. So you can see over there, oops. Pakistan and India, nothing there. Not useful at the moment. 5-year plan. USSR player must randomly discard 1 card. If the card is a US associated event, the event occurs immediately. If the card is a USSR associated event or an event applicable to both players, the card must be discarded without triggering the event. An interesting card, if you know that the opponent has a some more useful really on turn 3 whenever we know what should be in the other player's hand. Typically this is played for 3 points. It's more useful as 3 points. Yeah. NATO, not playable for the effect at the moment because it can only be played after Marshall Plan or Warsaw Pact. Only really good for 4 ops. Typically never played for the effect. Its effect is that the Soviets can no longer make coups or realignments in Europe. The very first turn, the USSR will likely coup, dropping the DEFCON to 4, meaning there's no coups or realignments in Europe anyway. And so playing this for the effect is typically a waste of 4 points that could be put to good use elsewhere. Nasser, a 1-op USSR event. Add 2 Soviet influence in Egypt. Remove half of the US influence in Egypt. I really don't want to give the Soviets Egypt early on, so I might hold this, depending how the situation goes. This can be really nasty early on whenever there's not a lot going on in the Middle East, and that would give the USSR an advantage. U.S.-Japan Mutual Defense Pact, a really good card for the U.S. to wait for the Soviets to have to play it. Playing this for the effect, as you can see, U.S. gains sufficient influence in Japan for control. I already have 1. That would give me 3 points. So in that regard, it's only worth 3 points. It's worth 4. I can play it for 4. And so there's really no reason for me to play this for the effect. Because playing it for 4 ops, I can still put 3 points in Japan if I was so inclined and 1 point elsewhere. So in that respect, it's better for me to play it for ops, put it back in the temporary discard, let it get reshuffled, and then maybe the USSR will have to play it for me. It also creates a sort of like fear tactic. It prevents the USSR from trying to play into Japan because they know that card is always in there. Europe scoring. Once we do initial setup, the US position in Europe will be much better. So US will probably play this card fairly late in the turn because they want to shore up their position there just in case. Being wary of De Gaulle and there are a lot of cards like Warsaw Pact and Comic-Con and socialist governments and whatnot that can really mess up, or really improve rather, the Soviet position in Europe. Speaking of Comic-Con, here we go. Council for Mutual Economic Assistance. Add 1 Soviet influence in each of 4 non-US controlled countries in Eastern Europe. Typically this is not too bad for the US because they won't play into Eastern Europe until the very end of the game, once the fall of the Soviet bloc kind of occurs. So this is easily played for 3 points without hesitation because 1 and 4, not too bad. The Soviets are going to get a little advantage, but the U.S. will come out ahead with 3 points. CIA created. This can be a card that kills you. Well, if you're the Soviets. It's actually not bad for the U.S. Soviets reveal hand this turn. U.S. may conduct ops if they played a 1-ops card. It's only worth 1 op. Typically not good to play for the effect. This is another one of those cards you want to put back in the deck and hope the USSR draws it, because it can be used against them and may make them lose the game. It's only 1 op, so they can't send it to space, and if they play it, the effect happens, and the U.S. gets to use its effect, conducting ops if they played on 1-ops cards. That means they can choose to coup a battleground country that's on the map, that is available to them, if one such exists. If they do that, if DEFCON is at 2, it goes to nuclear war. Because the USSR played this event for 1 point and the event was forced to happen, the USSR would lose, even though the US technically caused it. The USSR had to play the card, they've lost. So you want to play this for op and get it put back in the deck. Okay. Now that that's under control, we need to look at initial setup. Initial setup takes place in Europe. It is dictated on the board. 6 influence in Eastern Europe for the Soviets, 7 influence in Western Europe for the Americans. As a general rule, the USSR influence doesn't change much. It typically takes the form of 4 into Poland, add 1 more to East Germany to make that 4, putting 1 in Yugoslavia to have access to Italy just in case. Kind of typically forces the U.S. to play into Italy because they don't, because USSR will go first. They'll be able to play into Italy on their first turn. There are 5 battlegrounds in Europe, meaning that they will take the advantage early on, and it's really hard for the U.S. to get that advantage back once they've lost that steam. For the U.S. deploys 2nd. 4 influence in West Germany is what I do, what me and my friends do, and the other 3 in Italy. This gives me access to France, so I'm not worried about France. And it kind of prevents a blockade of sorts from East Germany to get to France. Same for Italy. It's sort of a buffer, because the Russians will have to move through that, which is more difficult. Something I didn't mention, the Russians could theoretically play into Italy, but it would cost them more points. If an opponent controls a country, and you want to put 1 influence in there, you have to pay 2 points. You have to pay double. So if I play a 2-ops card, I can spend both points to put 1 into Italy, if I were so inclined. But it would cost me 2 ops. Secondly, if I was so inclined again, I had 4 ops cards, I could put 2 into Italy, each point costing me 2 ops. But you see, the difference now is 1. In order for the U.S. to maintain control, they have to have 2 more points than I do. And in that case, that would break control, just like that. That country would be uncontrolled. Perfect opportunity for Truman Doctrine, if I was the U.S., but that's not what's happening. That's why the U.S. has put an extra point in Italy, and over-controlling countries can be it's actually probably one of the most important things you can do, because it would cost 4 points just to equal control. It gives you a big advantage. If you want to play a points game back and forth, you'll come out ahead if you over-control it by only just 1. It just makes things a lot easier. Makes it theoretically, like over here, I could pay 2 ops to put 1 in North Korea, immediately break that control. That'd be bad for the USSR, because then I could play into North Korea for the normal price, because they wouldn't control it anymore. Okay, so that's typically the standard setup for my friends and me. There's not really a reason to deviate from the USSR opening setup of 4, 4, and 1, just like that. Alright, now we need to choose headline cards. Let's see, what was I thinking about? Middle East scoring or Vietnam War? Those look like the best choices. See, the U.S. didn't play into France. They could have, but they didn't, so I'm not going to play de Gaulle. Yeah, I think I'm going to go for the big points in Asia. Headline with Vietnam revolts. That goes face down. Alright, pretending to be U.S. now. Don't know about the U.S. USSR position. CIA created, not a good choice. Comic-Con, not a good choice. Europe scoring. I do technically have the advantage. I do technically have, actually no domination has taken place or exists because we both have 2 battlegrounds. I must have more battlegrounds than the Soviets. So that's that would give us both, that would give us actually 0 points. That would give us both 3 points. Net result is 0. Not going to play that. Don't want to play this for the effect. In the headline phase, only the events occur. I guess I should have mentioned that, but that's true. Don't want to play that. I'd rather play that for ops. Nasser, don't want to play that. NATO, can't play that. 5-year plan, rather not play that. Actually, it looks like I don't have a good headline card, but I do have to pick something. So let's see. I'm pretty good on ops. I don't have to worry about giving up too many ops because I have 4, 4, 3, 1, 3, 1, 2. That's not bad. That's 14 points. I actually might headline with Europe scoring just so I can headline with something, but it doesn't hurt me at all. So I think that's probably what the U.S. is going to do. So headline cards are flipped simultaneously. I wish this would focus. The card with the highest ops value will occur first. Vietnam Revolt occurs first. The effect happens. Add to USSR influence in Vietnam. We'll do that. There's Vietnam. 2 points there. We control it. We over-control it. Right there. For the remainder of the turn, USSR gains +1 for cards in Southeast Asia. We'll leave that there just so we can look at it. It will go into the permanent discard after the turn's over, just so we can make sure we keep track of that. Europe scoring, as I said before, there's no net result. We both have presence of 3 points. We both have 2 battlegrounds. That's 2 points for each of us. There is no domination, and that's all. So nothing happens. VP stays at 0. This will go into the face-up discard pile. We'll put that over here. And actually, there's the draw pile. We'll put the draw pile over here. We'll put the discard pile right there. Face-up discard. One of the things, you know that the scoring cards will come up because they have to be played. There can be special circumstances where they don't have to be played, but generally speaking, you want to make sure your position in all 3 of these regions is stable or better, because those cards are going to be played because they have to be. Okay, USSR will play first. The U.S. would see that I, as the USSR, have an advantage or have a good position in the Asian front. One thing to consider, the DEFCON status. We're at peace right now. I want to, as the USSR, it behooves me always to keep the DEFCON status close to 2. That prevents the U.S. from getting ops and causes them to lose points at the end of the turn. So let's see. I kind of always want to play a coup. Cooing Iran on the first turn is always a good choice. I might do that. I got some cards that I don't really want to use. Olympic Games is one. I think that will be the USSR's first turn to coup Iran with Olympic Games. The stability number of Iran is 2. Stability number is 4 then. That's the target number is 4. Stability number is 2. Target number is 4. I have +2 to the dice. Roll the dice. 5 + 2 is 7. I needed 4. That's difference of 3. The USSR position improves by 3. US loses 1. I gain 2. And I now control Iran, making my Middle East scoring position better. DEFCON status goes down because Iran is a battleground country. That affects the DEFCON status. Coups and realignments in Europe are no longer allowed. I did a coup for 2 ops. I get 2 required military operations because that's 2. And that card, Olympic Games, goes in the temporary discard. There's no asterisk or anything. Olympic Games keeps coming back. The problem with that move is that the U.S., as you can see, can simply just coup it back. But the thing is, I can then coup it once again. And so it's more procedurally cautious for me to take the first coup instead of letting him get a coup in Europe or in Asia, for that matter. He could still coup in Asia, but rather not let him. Or rather make it easier for me. So that was a USSR turn. US turn. Number of options. Typically, I'm going to use this, I think. I'm going to recoup Iran. Seems like a better choice. I see that he's got points in Asia, but I'm not too worried about that. I've got plenty of stuff already in Asia that I can work with, South Korea and Japan, namely. I think I'm going to answer his coup with a coup of my own. 4 points, though, for Iran. Hopefully I can get it stable enough so he doesn't want to recoup it again. So I'll do that. 4 points to coup Iran. That's the roll is 3, plus 4 is 7. Stability is 4, that's a difference of 3. Soviets lose 2, I gain 1. Not what I was expecting. You'd hope for more with the 4-ops coup, but that's the way it is. DEFCON goes down to 3 because Iran is a battleground. US gains 4-ops because NATO is a 4-ops card. The effect didn't happen, didn't trigger, so this goes in the temporary discard pile. That will come back. Okay, second round for the Soviets. Let's see. I've got the +1 in Southeast Asia that I want to utilize. There is no maximum. Because the China card gives me 5 in Asia, Vietnam Revolt makes it 6 in Asia. 6 in Southeast Asia, I should say. Let's see. I think it behooves me, actually, to use the China card to take South Korea. No, I want to recoup Iran. It's better. U.S. doesn't have anything in France. I'd rather make them play this. De Gaulle leads France to coup Iran again. Recoup Iran. That's what's going to happen. The roll is 5, plus 3 is 8. Needed 4. That's a difference of 4. U.S. loses 1. Soviets gain 3 for Soviet control, and that's a fairly decisive control. 4 is better, but 3 is not bad. DEFCON goes down because Iran is a battleground. Soviets gain 3 ops to 5. Event didn't trigger. Temporary discard. That's the USSR turn. USSR so far not making much use of their Vietnam Revolt card, but we'll see. Hopefully we'll get going on that soon here, because we got to play that Asia scoring. As the U.S., I see this. I'm not happy about that. I can't coup. If I coup, nuclear war starts, I lose. I know that I've got Europe scoring. That's probably where I'm turning my attention to next. I've also got this... Actually, that's not a bad bet. I've got Nasser here. I'm going to lose half my influence no matter what. It's better for me to... You would think it'd be good for me to take Israel, but there is an Arab-Israeli war card that could possibly make me lose all of my influence there. So I'm not sure I want to do that. I know Middle East scoring is in the deck, but I've got Europe scoring. That's more pertinent for me. I don't know the USSR has it. I know that could be bad. I'll use 5-year plan for 3 points to place influence in France. 3 points to France. I know that he played de Gaulle, so I'm not worried about that being used against me right now. 3 points in France gives me domination of Europe. 5-year plan, temporary discard, USSR round. Here we go. Let's see, I definitely want to make use of Vietnam revolts at some points, but I've got Asia scoring. My position in Iran is okay, or can get better. Let's do this. China card will be played. It goes face down on the U.S. side. The U.S. will have it next turn, but that's fine. It always happens. It's worth 5 in Asia for the China card, so let's put all 5 into South Korea. There we go. That gives me domination of Asia at this point. That's a good position to have. Down over here to the U.S. turn. I see that. I'm not happy about that. Not much I can do about it, except is to take Japan, which I will do. U.S.-Japan Mutual Defense Pact, not for the effect, but for the points. 3 points are going to go into Japan to make it 4. Give me control of Japan. Secondly, I'm going to use the 1 point that I have left over to play into Malaysia. This gives me adjacency to Thailand and threatens Thailand, meaning that he's going to have to play into Thailand or I'm going to get there first. Kind of part of the game is trying to dictate your opponent's moves for them by threatening things. It's kind of like chess in that way. That was the U.S. Soviets. I've got that +1. I'm going to use it now. I got to take Thailand. I'm going to play Korean War. It's useless to me now that the U.S. does not control South Korea. I've got 3 points in Southeast Asia. I'm going to put all 3 points in Thailand. This further cements my domination. U.S. turn. Let's see. Side note, playing the China card will mean that I have 2 held cards, meaning my next 2 turns have to be Asia scoring and Middle East scoring. One or the other. Because I cannot hold them. So that means I've got to play them. U.S. doesn't know that. U.S. is going to do... Oh, crap. I forgot that I played Europe scoring on the headline phase. I don't have it anymore. Okay. New plan. I know I've got Nasser. I know I need to play into both Asia and the Middle East. Asia is looking more and more unattainable. That's not good. I'm going to wait, though, until he plays into Pakistan or India and then try to get influence in there with Indo-Pakistani war. So I'm going to do this. 3 points with Comic-Con as the U.S. I'm going to put 3 points into Lebanon and Jordan. First of all, it gives me presence, which is good in case of Middle East scoring, which I don't know the USSR has. Also, Arab-Israeli war is a war card, meaning that adjacent controlled countries will give me will make my position better in the event of a war in Israel. So that's 3 points. The effect still happens because I'm the U.S. Add 1 USSR influence in each of 4 non-U.S. controlled countries in Eastern Europe. This event text happens as if I was the USSR. Or rather, as if the USSR played it. So me, as the USSR, is going to put 1 in 4. I'm going to put 1 into East Germany, 1 into Poland. That's fairly standard. You never know what could go wrong. Those are your 2 battlegrounds, your babies. You got to keep track of what's going on in there. I typically like to put 1 more into, or rather 1 into Austria. Counts as both West and Eastern Europe. I'm going to put 1 in Finland. For that reason, that is because Finland is adjacent to the motherland, which means if the U.S. takes it, it's going to give them a bonus point. In the case of Europe scoring again, which will come back, we know it will. So I'll just kind of want to make that seem less ideal. 1 more point. There is a card that gives the Soviets Romania, so I don't want to play into Romania. Bulgaria and Hungary are kind of fairly useless in the middle of things, not interested. The only really other choice is Yugoslavia or Czechoslovakia. I'll put it in Czechoslovakia just because that event happened, much to the U.S.'s chagrin, and we'll go face down, permanent discard. Over here to the USSR side, I'm going to have to pick 1. I don't want to give away that I've got Asia scoring just in case, because he's going to have a turn to react. So I'm going to do Middle East scoring. That's going to be my turn. Middle East scoring, let's see. There's no domination because the U.S. has more countries than I do. We both have presence. We both get 3 points. I get 1 point for having Iran. That's 1 more battleground than he has. That's 1 point for the Soviets. All right, U.S. turn. Not happy about that, but it's probably the best case scenario. Because now I can kind of play Nasser, and I know that in the future I'll be able to affect more. But I want to get rid of Nasser because I'm not really worried about those the Middle Eastern position at the moment, because Middle East scoring's in the discard pile. It will come back fairly quickly though. But I don't want to let him have Nasser in a point that I want to use it. So let's do Nasser. 1 point is going to go into Israel, giving me 2 points. The effect occurs. 2 Soviet influence in Egypt, remove half of the U.S. influence. I didn't want to play into Egypt because I would have lost my 1 point. So that's 2 in Egypt, and that's face down a discard. Okay, last turn for the Soviets, last turn for both players actually. Asia scoring is what I'm going to use. It's what I have to use. I do dominate clearly in Asia. That's 7 points. 2 more battlegrounds, that's 9 points. For the Americans, they have presence, that's 3 points. They have 1 battleground, that's 4. 4 minus, what did I say? 4 minus 9 is 5. That's 5 points for the, no, it's not. It's 6 points as a matter of fact. I typically just look at the difference of presence and domination. just to see. So that's 4 points difference. One more battleground for the 2 more battlegrounds for the Soviets. That's 6 points. Let's see. Yeah. 6 points. Is it? Domination 7. 2 more battlegrounds is 9. Presence is 3. 1 battleground for Japan, it's 4. Oh, yeah, it's 10 minus 4, 6. Yeah, 6 points for the Soviets. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That's a good Soviet lead. Soviets will typically have the upper hand for the early war. Mid-war, we'll see more of an even split, and then late war, the U.S. will blossom by trying to destroy the Soviet bloc. The U.S., it behooves the Soviets to try and win before late war, but it doesn't always happen. It behooves the Americans to try and hold on until late war, so they can have a chance at winning. The game is kind of fairly skewed towards the USSR for various reasons, but not worried about that. Last turn for the Americans. Let's see. I'm going to hold this because I want to see if they play into India or Pakistan on the next turn. I'm going to play CIA created for 1 point because I want that to go in the temporary discard, so they might get it. I'll put that point into... not a lot of good options. Actually, that was all of the scoring cards, so now it's just a game of making sure your position's secure. My position in the Middle East is not secure. I don't have any battlegrounds, and I have no way of getting any. Playing from Jordan is probably my best bet. I'm going to use that 1 point. I'm going to put it into Iraq to threaten Iraq control from the USSR. He's going to have to use that first turn to take it, or I'm going to take it first. That was the U.S. event, so that did not get, the event didn't happen, so temporary discard, no problem there. That's the end of the round. At the end of the round, we flip the China card. There's a handy sequence of events here. At the end of the round, we check the military ops. We only needed 2. We both have 4 and 5, so we're both there. Nobody loses any points. Those get reset to 0. The DEFCON status improves by 1 at the start of the round. China card gets flipped. The U.S. now has the China card this turn. Vietnam revolts, didn't get to use that much, but you know, we did what we could. Turn marker is turn 2. At the end of the first turn, Soviets decisive lead, 7 points. Not good for the U.S., but you know, holding Europe is kind of what the U.S. needs to be doing, which is what they're doing. Hopefully we'll get into Asia on turn 2, but we'll see.